Today we're getting into the latest EV, Tesla, and tech news, including Tesla having to change their door handles, new leaks of the more affordable Tesla, a new recall from Hyundai, and more. So let's get into it, and a special thanks to Lasfit for sponsoring today's video. First up today, Tesla's new delivery center at Giga, Texas is officially open. And this is something they haven't done before because this is a delivery center located directly at their factory. It's now open and delivering cars to customers, and Joe Tegmeyer got some good footage overhead of what this looks like. You can pick your cars up there, and then for kids, they have small Cybertrucks on a track that you can drive around, which is kind of cool. You also get a robotaxi ride to the factory to pick up your car, so overall this is a very cool way to take delivery of a Tesla, and it's especially going for new owners right now through the end of the quarter. Now for the Tesla app, live activity is something they have been adding a lot more for iOS, and it gives you live updates about charging and a lot of things involving your car. But one new update is your service status for when your car is in service. The latest app update adds this live activity feature to show your vehicle's service status on the lock screen or dynamic island while a mobile technician is servicing it. Before, you just had to rely on notifications or open the Tesla app to check service progress, and this change will give you real-time glanceable updates, and I think this makes a lot of sense, especially for quicker repairs, which is why they're only supporting this for mobile service visits at this time. It will display things like on my way, has arrived, estimated time of completion, and then a final completion notification, which makes a lot of sense specifically for mobile service visits that are typically shorter. A similar feature to this is expected to come to Android phones quite soon here. For now, it's only iOS. Now, when it comes to Tesla vehicles, their battery and everything involved with them, they have a couple different warranties. They have the general drivetrain warranty, and then they have the battery warranty. But now Tesla is adding a different kind of warranty specifically for the propulsion. Tesla is adding a 7-year propulsion warranty for 2026 model year cars. They're calling this a high-priced propulsion-related part warranty, and they're adding this in the US and Canada specifically for 2026 model year. It's 7 years or 70,000 miles of coverage, whichever comes first. Specifically, this will cover parts like the power conversion system, PCS assembly, PCS inlet-outlet hoses, ancillary harness assembly, high-voltage fast charge connectors, high-voltage system controller, and more things along those lines. For now, this warranty appears to apply for the Model S, Model X, Model 3, and Y, but not the Cybertruck. And a possible reason for that could be the Cybertruck has a much different electrical architecture with its 800-volt high-voltage system and 48-volt subsystem. Overall, this is just something that adds some peace of mind to new Tesla owners, and it's good to see more things being warrantied in their cars specifically. But next up today, the big thing we're waiting to see from Tesla at this point in the United States is the more affordable car. At this point, we're days away from the end of the federal EV tax credit. But once that disappears, we're expecting Tesla to shortly after that introduce a more affordable version of the Model Y. Now, it's not quite as exciting as what many were hoping for in the past. This seems to just be a stripped back version of the Model Y, but it was spotted once again in the Bay Area. Now, depending on what they do with range and certain features, it could still be a very popular car and a car that delivers on a lot of things that are important for EV buyers. So in general, I am excited even though it's not that dedicated $25,000 EV. We're hoping this gets to around a $35,000 price tag, and what we see here is a Model Y that's covered up, riding specifically on 18-inch wheels. That's a very similar approach to what Tesla did with the Cybertruck with the rear-wheel drive long-range trim that they have now discontinued. They introduced 18-inch wheels only on that trim that are not available anymore. The hope here, of course, is that this car does way better than that cheaper Cybertruck did. Just by its very nature, the Cybertruck is this premium vehicle that Tesla introduced with a lot of premium features, and they took a ton of stuff away to get that $10,000 price drop on that car. It was still long range, which was great, but for most people already spending $70,000 on a truck, the downgrades on that car just didn't make sense. Versus when you look at something like a Model Y, the difference between a car at $45,000 versus $40,000 or hopefully $38,000, $36,000, $35,000 is huge. So I don't think that trim would end up having the same fate as the Cybertruck, but of course we'll have to see. In any case, there have been tons of leaks of this car at this point, including leaks of the interior that showed the updated center console that has a pass-through up there, no glass roof, seats that either just remove ventilation or also are textile, the removal of the interior LED light bar, the removal of the rear light bar, and more things like that. Overall, it's going to make a lot of sense and be a great trim of this car, I think, still, especially if they can still deliver on range. We'll see if they just keep it with the same battery pack and the same range, but then give it less features, or if they actually give us a smaller battery pack. I think a smaller battery pack might be necessary to get to a true lower cost, but of course, we'll have to see, and we could see very soon here. At the same time that one was spotted, someone got a video driving past a blue one in California. This one has a couple of details that are pretty obvious. First, it's riding on the 19-inch wheels from the standard Model Y, but as you can see here, the orange reflector is in the top of the headlights, which definitely indicates that is where the headlights are going to be, integrated into that front light bar, if there's a light bar in between them. Then it's pretty hard to tell, but if you look in this photo, it seems like you're not actually seeing through the car and then through a glass roof. Of course, they could just be heavily tinting this, and it could be something else, but these are the main details we are expecting on this car. So Tesla is out with multiple prototypes of this car at the same time, and it seems quite imminent here. Usually we see this number of prototypes just a few weeks before these vehicles get announced. But when it comes to range, of course, a smaller battery pack is by its very nature going to be more efficient. So there are certain benefits there, and LFP battery cells have been part of that benefit. Now in the past, Tesla shipped LFP battery chemistry in the United States on standard range Model 3 vehicles. They did it very briefly on the Model Y as well. The advantages of that chemistry are that it's cheaper in general, and then it likes being charged to 100%. So when you compare it to a car that only gets charged to 80% every day, it actually can have a similar available daily range. But Tesla stopped shipping those cars in the United States because of the EV tax credit. Now things have changed in this regard because that's going away, and we might automatically assume that now we can get a flood of LFP battery cells into standard range Tesla vehicles in the United States, and that's a good thing. But tariffs have changed the situation a lot, so it doesn't seem cut and dry that now they can suddenly ship those lower cost LFP battery cells. I would love to see that if possible, but it doesn't seem like that's necessarily the case unless they figure out some other route there. Before we go any further, I want to mention today's sponsor, Lasfit. Lasfit is an innovative vehicle accessories company that makes the TK1 cordless portable air compressor for pickup trucks, SUVs, and cars. It's specifically designed for large tires, and I have found it particularly useful for the Cybertruck. It's impressively fast with dual cylinder and turbo cooling technology. Here it inflated my tire from about 22 psi to 42 psi in around 2.5 minutes. Its smart preset and auto shutoff features work together to streamline the whole process. Once you attach it to your tire, you can just set it and forget it with no fear of overinflating. The LED screen shows real-time tire pressure, you choose your mode, connect the tire, and press the power button to inflate your tire. It will auto shut off at your desired PSI. Its powerful battery allows for convenient inflating that lasts, and it's cordless, so that's one less thing to worry about when you find out that you've lost air in your tire. When you're done, it's completely portable and compact, so you can easily store it in your trunk, under a seat, or even in your glove box. It also comes with a carrying case to keep it protected until you're ready to use it again. Say goodbye to bulky air compressors or searching for gas stations when you need a fill. This is truly a must-have for anyone who drives, regardless of what you drive. It's super fast and convenient for small cars, but it's designed for SUVs, pickups, and EVs in general. It's my favorite air compressor that I've used so far on the Cybertruck. To check out the Lasfit TK1 tire compressor for yourself, click the link in the description below and use discount code RyanShaw25 for 25% off. Regardless, Tesla is always increasing efficiency on their cars, and the latest versions of their cars across the board in Europe are seeing increases in efficiency. A new certification update in Europe has revealed that all WLTP ranges for the Model 3 rear-wheel drive, the Model Y rear-wheel drive, and the Model 3 and Y all-wheel drive have seen increases in range. The biggest here is an increase of about 8%, up 51 kilometers WLTP on the Model 3 long-range rear-wheel drive. You can see the details across the board on this chart for all of their cars, and in general, this is just great to see. Increases in range are awesome to see, especially when they didn't just increase the battery size. Part of this could just be due to updated testing or other things, so we'll see more details in the future here about that. In any case, it looks like the next product we're going to see from Tesla in the United States is this more affordable Model Y. Or maybe the performance model comes before that cheaper model. We'll have to see the timing there because they've also been hiding that one and already launched that in Europe. But I guess the next new product that's something they haven't shipped before would be this affordable car. But when we look into the longer future, they're working on the robotaxi and future vehicles based on that use the unboxed assembly process. And Tesla was just officially granted a patent for this process. It's called True Unboxed Process 2.0. And here's an overall summary of the patent. The core innovation is that it introduces a single global datum reference system for vehicle assembly, aligning all exterior components to one universal point. For tolerance and alignment, it eliminates tolerance stackup, which is common in traditional assembly, and then it uses engineered adhesive gaps and concurrent tacking to maintain flow and precision. For efficiency, they say this achieves a 65% reduction in part count without sacrificing quality, and it removes the need for clips, fasteners, or hardware. It also enables fully automated exterior assembly, and those robots don't actually require vision systems or force feedback. So in general, this also improves NVH, noise, vibration, harshness, and serviceability for these cars across the board. Basically, according to this patent, this should set a new standard for the way that cars are built, but we'll see how long it takes to put this fully into practice. In any case, Elon Musk commented on this patent, saying, quote, "What matters is that the cycle time of the overall production process can get to around 10 seconds, and there's a path to cars coming off the line every 5 seconds. I posted about Tesla taking this new path based on physics, first principles long ago. By the way, anyone is welcome to copy it. Our patents are open source." This is one of those innovations that Tesla has been talking about for quite some time, and I hope it has a better overall rollout than, say, the 4680 battery cell did. Of course, they're shipping the Cybertruck with that battery cell today, but back in 2020, they announced that as basically the new plan for where they were going with battery cells. The Model Y was going to be built using only 4680 battery cells built within the factory that made that car, and it was going to use the structural battery pack. But overall, that plan completely got thrown out the window because things didn't go quite as planned for 4680 cells, and it took longer than expected in general to scale up. The future there could still be very bright with 4680 cells, but it's just taking a long time. And I hope things go better with this unboxed assembly process, especially since the robotaxi will rely on it. There's a lot that has to come together for the robotaxi to truly ship and scale. This process, as well as FSD being completely solved. But there is one change that Tesla may need to make today for their vehicles, and this is especially coming out of China, and that's the door handles. A lot of people don't entirely like the electrical releases that Tesla has in their door handles, and the fact that there are backup manual releases. As such, we've been hearing about this in the United States, but then especially China, where regulation is now cracking down on that. Tesla is planning to redesign both the interior and exterior door handles of their cars to improve safety and usability. And this is generally motivated by safety concerns and recent NHTSA investigations into failures where doors became unopenable after power loss. Tesla's chief designer, Franz von Holzhausen, said the design team aims to combine the electronic and mechanical release mechanisms into a single, more intuitive solution. But Tesla is currently watching regulatory developments, particularly in China, where bans or restrictions on fully concealed door handles may take effect by 2027. We weren't entirely sure if Tesla was going to have to change things, but now there has been some clarity out of China. China's Ministry of Industry and Information Technology issued a draft regulation titled, quote, "Technical Requirements for Automobile Door Handle Safety." Here are some of the requirements. First, every door except the trunk must have an external mechanical release in addition to any electronic actuation. Side doors must be openable from the outside without tools in the event of a battery or electrical failure for non-collision thermal events, and the handle's operating space must allow for enough room for a palm to maneuver, 60 millimeters by 20 millimeters by 25 millimeters, regardless of the handle being in a retracted or extended state. Then for interior handles specifically, they must include mechanical backups if electronic internal handles are used. Internal handles must be easy to identify, visible, located within 300 millimeters of the door edges, and situated in certain zones relative to seating positions. So there are a lot of specifics there that I think in general will be good to see, but it's something that a lot of companies have to adapt to, especially Tesla. It seems that what Tesla wants to do is unify the system so that you press the button once and it's the electronic release that everyone's used to, then maybe you press and hold it or press it a couple times, and then the mechanical release takes over. There are benefits, of course, to the electronic releases, like being able to release doors from the app and more things like that. But I do agree that having this unified would make a lot more sense, and it's something you wouldn't have to worry about in a safety event. I've always been critical of the fact that in the back seats of a Tesla vehicle, the manual release is located inside the side door pocket, inside a flap, and then you pull a tab. Either way, this will be an interesting thing to see Tesla have to change on their vehicles, and we'll see if they do it just in China or across the whole world. It seems like it probably will be uniform because NHTSA has been looking into this as well. Next up today, the EV tax credit is going away, but along with that are certain emissions standards that Tesla has benefited from in the past. As such, we're now seeing that Tesla is urging the administration not to repeal vehicle emissions standards or the US government's longstanding endangerment finding that greenhouse gas emissions harm human health. Tesla posted public comments here essentially saying that rolling back these rules would effectively let engine and vehicle makers off the hook from measuring, controlling, or reporting GHG emissions. Most automakers have been asking for relaxed rules here, but of course, Tesla wants the opposite. Part of this as well is because Tesla would lose a significant amount of revenue that they get from regulatory credits. Last year, Tesla earned about $2.8 billion from selling zero emissions credits globally to other automakers. But they also argue that this would reduce investment in innovation and tilt the playing field against EV manufacturers. This is a particularly interesting one to see from Tesla, and I don't think we're actually going to see anything change in this regard. But I'll be sure to keep you posted if anything does change in this particular regard, and then if things go the way Tesla is expecting in this letter. Now, when it comes to the EV tax credit going away, Elon Musk said this week, quote, "A lot of people thought Tesla stock would collapse as the tax credits came to an end this month. Guess not." I actually think a lot of people expected sales to be quite good as this tax credit functioned as its own kind of buying incentive across the board for EVs. So the more important quarter will be Q4 once that credit is entirely gone. How does that do for Tesla? And I'll be curious to see that. What really matters for the future at Tesla, though, is full self-driving. They're going all in on this technology in the United States with FSD version 13 and now 14. Elon Musk tweeted this week about that, saying, quote, "Version 14.0 goes into early wide release next week, then 14.1 about 2 weeks later, and finally 14.2. The car will feel almost like it is a sentient being by 14.2. Now, this is a full self-driving release I'm particularly interested to see because, of course, Elon Musk has given us a lot of promises for full self-driving versions in the past, but version 13 has been incredibly impressive. If version 14 actually brings a lot of improvements on that, it will be pretty crazy to see. Maybe it will take it from using it 95% of the time to using it 98% of the time, or even more for a lot of people. Regardless, I'm excited to see first tests when this actually rolls out to early wide release, hopefully next week. They may miss that deadline, as they often do, and then he gave a classic 2 weeks for 14.1, so we won't be surprised if that is also extended. But either way, it seems we're getting very close to getting this next impressive, hopefully, version of full self-driving. Next up today, one of the best parts about driving a Tesla and now driving an EV in places like the United States is Tesla's Supercharger network. These are incredibly reliable chargers that Tesla first launched 13 years ago. Tesla's charging account posted about this and posted a video from 13 years ago, where they say this network allows you to make a brief stop, charge quickly, and be on your way. They also said that it's free and is free forever, which is a very interesting thing. At the time, it was Model S's, and free charging was the norm at that time, but that very much changed as they scaled up. Supercharging is definitely not free. They have certain incentives that allow you to get certain amounts of charging for free, and things like the Cybertruck offer free lifetime supercharging, but it's definitely not always free for all of their cars. Regardless, in this video, at the time, they said within 2 years they'd have covered 98% of the population and that they've been improving charging times. Overall, this is something that they have been doing, and this network has expanded incredibly well. One thing that they are doing for expansion in general, though, that looks pretty cool is road signs. Tesla posted, "First highway sign with superchargers, more to come." This is interesting because I see this sign in Arizona, and I actually just drove to Arizona today and charged at the Quartz site Tesla Supercharger, and that one had a sign just like this. So this might not actually be the first one here, but maybe they're starting a new trend, and this is the first of what they plan to do with expansion. Regardless, this is something that doesn't really make a lot of sense for Tesla drivers, who will be automatically navigating to these chargers or navigating on screen, but this makes sense for EVs in general, and then general awareness. For those people that want to drive an EV and not think about the screen and just stop at an EV charger, this will help them see that there's a reliable charger coming up. And then I think this will generally raise awareness for people who look at road signs and see, oh wow, there's superchargers a lot of the times on these road signs along with gas stations. There are plenty of people who still think there are not enough EV chargers, and of course, we could still use more, but this should help with awareness in general and then help out those drivers who actually need to see where they are. Last up today, over at Hyundai, they're recalling about 8,000 Genesis GV60 EVs from 2023 to 2025 over an issue with the molding at the top of the windshield that may cause it to fall off. They say that those with this issue may notice a wind noise or whistling coming from the upper part of the windshield, and after running internal tests, Hyundai found that the issue was due to insufficient adhesion from the supplier. There haven't been any injuries or crashes reported, but Hyundai does have 112 reports of molding detachment between October 26 of 2022 and August 8th of 2025. They've since fixed the issue and estimate that only 1% of the 7,855 Genesis GV60s being recalled actually had this defect, but of course this is something they have to fix across the board. So if you own this car, definitely an important recall to go get checked out. That's all the latest tech, Tesla, and EV news for today. So in the meantime, if you want to see a breakdown of the only maintenance you need to do for your Tesla vehicle, you can check that video out linked up here or in the description below. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.